This is Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I trust today this will be like a vitamin or a supplement for your mind and heart. And wherever you receive podcasts from, would you please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom and leave a rating and a brief written review? It'll enable other excellent, wonderful people like you to be able to locate this podcast. I really appreciate all your support. What I want to do today is have a pep talk for leaders. I've just come back from a couple of meetings with leaders. Well, one was just with a handful, another with a group. And there's one thing that I'm sensing out there is there's a lot of discouragement, some angst, some what do we do next? How are we ever going to get through all of this? And I just wanted to take time out today to just rally and have a little bit of a pep talk. And one of those things that I want to do, let's take some things and look at them that we have control over. Granted, there are a lot of things in life right now that you and I do not have control over. We don't have control over politics, the weather, a lot of things that is happening. It just is going to happen. But let's not throw in the towel. Let's not give in. Let's not hang our heads. Let's not resign. There are many things that we do have control over. And sometimes as a leader, you are giving the pep talks all the time. And so I ask the question, who's encouraging you today? Who's challenging you? Right now, there's something you know you need to be doing. There is some habit that you are wanting to form and develop. There is something you know at work that really needs your help. There's some things you need to do for your family. There are some things you need to do in your own life. Today is the day to just take charge and do it. And so I challenge you to not give in to the fear, to not give in to the discouragement. Make a difference. Ours is a very hurting world. One of the first things that I would say, let's develop our empathy skills. It's something we talk about. And so for people in tough situations, let's try to stop and not just view it from our political or philosophical point of view. Put yourself in the other person's shoes and try to view what life might be like for someone else. There is a lot of suffering. If you are of one race, it's hard for you to understand all of the impact that this has, especially on those who are in the minority. Let's not just make senseless pronouncements. Let's do our best to try to understand, to try to be a part of the solution, and to try to make a difference. If we don't do it as leaders, no one else is going to. So I challenge you, don't just give in, don't just quit. Decide you're going to make a difference. Rather than giving up, being discouraged, this is a time to not only challenge yourself, but to challenge your team, to challenge your family that we're going to be better, we're not going to be bitter, we're not going to be part of the negativity that's going around. We are going to make a positive difference. And regardless of the dark clouds on the horizon, regardless of what anyone else thinks or does, you set the example in enthusiasm. It's one of the words that I use that I try to capture in my life every day. There are 3 words right now that I'm saying, reminding myself, this is the kind of person that I want to be. And right at the top of that list is an enthusiastic person. We're getting enough depression. We're getting enough discouragement. We are getting enough of the it's over, it's awful, it's terrible. The person who's going to win the day is the person who has a spirit of enthusiasm. I'm not sure if you realize that the translation of the word enthusiasm is God within. Now, whether you're a person of faith or not is not the point right now. The point is enthusiasm is looking to someone else and something else to move me forward. And right now, if I can't find one thing in the political, in the cultural situation I'm involved in, then I'm going to have to depend for the spiritual life to propel me forward. So you be the example. Don't wait for someone in your office or your family to lead the way being enthusiastic. You be enthusiastic. Then I want to say to you, don't forget your dreams. A lot of times the enemy will tempt us when we're in a really hard place to just think, you know what, I just am barely holding on. I can't take on anything new. I can't do anything new. Remember your dreams. I'm believing that for most of the people listening to my voice today, your dream was birthed out of a vision, out of a passion, out of this visionary idea you had of a preferable future and the difference that you can make. Don't discard your dream. Yes, it may be that we have to revisit things. We may have to put a couple of things in life on hold temporarily till things in our lives get a little more straightened out. But let your dreams and your goals help to give you some definity and boundaries in your life. And right now we can complain and we can talk about, we wish and long for the good old days. I'm old enough to remember the good old days are much better remembered than they were in actuality. And right now, you and I, as the leader of ourselves, leader of our families, leaders of friends, leaders at work, we're just going to have to embrace change. I remember when I first moved to Southeast Michigan, and it was a bitterly cold winter. I, by nature, am not a big fan of cold weather. And I was one day kind of grousing around about it and complaining, and the person said to me, if you're going to live here, you're going to have to embrace winter. And that's what I did. I started going up north, which is even colder, started tubing and tobogganing and cross-country skiing. I even bought a pair of snowshoes and would go out on hikes. I learned that if it's going to be winter for a long time where I live, it's too long of a time to just hang on and hope it's soon over. I was going to have to embrace it and celebrate it and work with it and just get involved with it. Well, that's sort of what I'm saying to you today about change. We're in a change season, and the change season is going to last a long, long time. So you can fight it, you can resist it, you can complain, you can gripe, or you can embrace it. Now, I'm not saying change for change's sake, but there are lots of changes that need to be made, and you and I, as a leader, need to change it. One of the reasons that we fail to embrace it is because whenever change comes, there's a lot of discomfort associated with it. Right now, we are in a time of disequilibrium. We are in a time of dissension, disagreement, dissatisfaction, and it's uncomfortable. But you and I are going to have to get used to there being discomfort. We have never lived, you and I'm not saying that we're living in unprecedented or unparalleled times. That's a little egotistical. But I'm telling you it's an uncomfortable time for you and it's not quite what we are used to. But we're going to have to get used to discomfort because it comes out of these times that some of the greatest changes and some of the greatest opportunities are going to be visited upon most of us. And the ones who will be ready to grab it and run with it are those who are embracing the changes that come and say, all right, let's reevaluate. What do we need to do differently? How do we need to go another direction? And though it's uncomfortable and there's much discomfort associated with it, we need to work our way through. I think one of the greatest ways that I can give you a pep talk right now is to make up your mind you're going to be an encourager. My grandmother used to tell me, if you make your job to be an encourager, you will never be unemployed, meaning there is always a need for someone to be encouraged. Oftentimes we are waiting for someone to say a kind word to us, for someone to give us an atta girl or an atta boy, job well done. Perhaps that's the problem right now where you live. Everyone is looking for someone outside of them to be the one who is the bearer of good news and the encourager. And here's the thing, leader, why don't you be the one who is the encourager? There's an incredible statement made by John Maxwell that encouragement is 51% of leadership. Now, I don't know where he came up with the percentage or how he figured that out, or if it's just a random wild guess. But regardless, it is a major, major importance of being a leader. As I look back throughout my lifetime, I can remember when my leaders came to me and brought me a word of encouragement. And it was the jet fuel that propelled me on, even at times when I thought I wasn't going to make it, even when I didn't know that I needed to be encouraged. It encouraged. But here's the thing about encouragement. Everybody needs it, but it can't just be something on your to-do list that you check off. Encouragement for you and me as a leader has to be a way of life. It has to be a mindset and an attitude that every day we look for someone to encourage. I made a plan this year that every day, and it really probably comes down to a minimum of 5 of the 7 days of a week, I'm going to find 3 people to encourage. And I do it either by a phone call, a text, an email, or a lunch or a breakfast. I can't tell you how many times it just happened this week. I just sort of do it randomly. I don't even have a preconceived list that I go through, but I find people that I'm acquainted with, friends, colleagues, even at times family members, and I'll just write them a quick text or a quick note telling them, hey, I'm thinking about you, praying for you, love you and believe in you. Thanks for being my friend. I hope you have a great and blessed day or a great and blessed week. This week I was met with a person who I actually had sent that to earlier in the week, who I saw face to face, who told me that my word of encouragement was a counterbalance to some negativity he had just experienced from someone, and that my note of encouragement changed the way his day was going. And he thanked me and he said, how did you know? Now again, if you're not a person of faith, you won't understand this, but I'm just depending that God knows who needs to have a word of encouragement. Right now, there are so many people saying so many discouraging things. If you want to stand out, leader, be an encourager. Send the text, send the note, get involved and get interested in someone else's life. People go farther than they thought they could when someone else really thinks they can. Remember, encouragement is simply defined in the dictionary as the act of inspiring others with renewed courage, renewed spirit, and renewed hope. And if there's anything that is in short supply today, it's courage, spirit, and hope. And you and I can be dispensers of that. You see, encouraging leaders bring the best out in others. We are there to help develop people, lift them up, and help them. For the people in your organization and in your sphere of influence in your life, deep down in their heart, want to be a part of something better. Here's what I've discovered about encouragement. Rather than me sitting around complaining, crying, waiting for somebody to lift me up, encourage me, give me a pat on the back, that as I write these notes of encouragement or these texts or in face-to-face encounters, tell someone how much I appreciate them and you have to be sincere. People can sense whether you're being genuine or not. So you can't fake it. It has to really come from your heart. But here's what I have found about the power of encouragement. When I just write simple, encouraging notes or texts, by the time I am done, I have no idea how the person that's going to receive the encouragement will receive it, but I can tell you it has lifted my spirits. One last thing that I want to give you in this pep talk. I have found that encouragement and gratitude are almost twin siblings, because the ones who exhibit and offer encouragement to others are usually the people who are overflowing with gratitude. Listen to me, my leadership friend. I believe there are some of you that have had an unsettling day or week. There perhaps has been some news, perhaps someone had a confrontation with you. And I want this podcast for you today to say this: don't give up. Your voice is needed. Your story is needed. You are important. You are exactly where you are for a reason. It's too soon to give up. Go get it today, leader. You've been listening to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I hope today this has been like a vitamin or supplement for your mind and heart. And please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom and leave a rating or a review. Remember, my leadership friend, you're doing better than you think you are. You really are. And until next time, this is Dr. Ron saying, go get it. You're doing better than you think you are.